Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
All right, so 2 weeks ago on the show, I said Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers, according to a really good source I had, was real. You, of course, doubting. Well, I didn't just blurt it out in the air just like on a whim. Right? That's the haircut?
No haircut.
You just slicked it back?
I slicked it back a little bit just to see if it would straighten out, but it still struggles, like the front there, yeah.
Have you ever thought of going to a professional?
For just the hair? Or?
Well, a lot of things. Like, let's start with wardrobe. What's this deal?
Well, yeah. Can't go wrong with a plain gray shirt.
We're on camera.
That's all right.
Wow. Okay, so he's gone.
Yeah.
He leaves Dodge before they show up.
Absolutely.
I've been told about the Michigan contract that it was a save face contract.
Yeah.
In other words, they can look at their fan base and say, well, we offered him 5 years, $55 million. And those are the exact words that were given to me were, it's a save face contract. Okay. And they pretty much knew that the handwriting was on the wall. But remember, after he interviewed for the Vikings and didn't get it, he said, Michigan's the only place I want to be. I thought that was a great quote at the time, considering he just interviewed 9 hours of the Vikings.
Yeah.
So obviously there was a 9-hour period. I think he was hoping to go to Eden Prairie.
Yeah. It's like those baseball talks where they talked about the strike, and where they met about the labor deal and didn't talk about the strike.
Right.
For 10 hours.
Yeah, 10 hours. Yeah, didn't do a thing. So he's out. Look, the on-staff replacement appears to be Sharon Moore. It certainly would make life easier for them in terms of the transition. Yeah, and then he'll have to deal with whatever fallout there is.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah, there's no question there will be.
Again, the NCAA is furious that they feel that Jim Harbaugh lied to them, which then compounds the problem. But that is a different story. I mean, Pete Carroll left and went to Seattle. Was USC's reputation tarnished?
No.
In the end? No. I mean, Reggie Bush did lose his Heisman, but they had sanctions put on them for years, right? And they wouldn't budge off the sanctions. USC was capped at 75 scholarships for years. And you can argue, except for a selective year or two, they have not come back.
No.
It's taken a long time to get back. That's how damaging it is. It's interesting. They took Penn State's off because they were wrong. I mean, absolutely
completely
wrong.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me, over here in the back, botched that one up. Yeah, good call, great. But they didn't feel like they botched USC up.
No.
Yeah, because they actually broke rules. Right? And it really had set them back tremendously. And you can tell where it set them back. It's in the offensive line.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when you have fewer scholarships, you have to make decisions about what do I do? Or Bill O'Brien, what do I do with reduced scholarships? So he's out there recruiting Deshaun Hamilton, Chris Godwin, Mike Gesicki. What aren't those guys?
Yeah,
they aren't linemen.
Yeah,
he told me, he says, Steve, I'm going to recruit as many offensive guys as we can, just see if we can just get something done there. He says, because of the trenches, too hard to develop.
Yeah, and Penn State was even in a worse spot. She had 65. Yeah, you really couldn't miss.
65. They couldn't miss on anybody.
Yeah.
So Penn State ends up with the second highest per game attendance in the history of the school and in the country. So 3 games over 110,000. And second only to Michigan overall. They averaged over 108, which is the second highest number by a few bodies per game. I think 2007 had been the record. And I mean, it's amazing in this period of time. Northwestern is at the end of this month or the beginning of next month, they are going to level Ryan Field.
Yeah.
I will see it firsthand because I'm going out there Super Bowl Sunday. In terms of not them leveling it, but being leveled. And they're going to build a 35,000-seat stadium. The 35, they're currently at 47. The 35,000-seat stadium fits more of who they are. Baylor played for years in the Farrell Center in Waco, which was Baylor's arena, by the way. It wasn't the city arena. Farrell Center is a Baylor University arena. And I did 2 games in there, as a matter of fact. Not bad. But they now have moved into a new place that they just built. 7,500. Perfect size. Fans hanging out on the court. And I've talked about this for a long time, that yes, Penn State, they want to be over 100,000. I understand that. But in the big picture moving forward across the country, now I'm not just talking Penn State now. In the big picture across the country, especially with TV and TV money revenue where it happens to be, you're going to see more and more people downsizing to get to a number. In fact, they're even doing it in their own way with tarps up. You go to the Rose Bowl when UCLA plays, they've got tarps in certain parts of the Rose Bowl because to keep the number down. You go to USC, they've got certain areas that are tarped off at the Coliseum because there's no way in heck they can sell those seats. You just can't.
Some of those seats are embarrassing.
You know, Highmark Stadium, the new one they're building in Buffalo, is 65,000 seats. Ralph Wilson Stadium, when it was built, was 80,000 seats. Yeah. This is 65. Right? That's just smart.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want your seating to be at a premium. You want to have some demand for your seating. Obviously, luxury suites play a role in part of this, too, the space they take up and how much money they cost. But that's what you're seeing. More and more places, instead of the gigantic building. So let's take Tennessee. Thompson Bowling Arena is 24,500 seats. As I've mentioned before, the mandate was when they built Thompson Bowling Arena is they had to have 1,000 seats more than Kentucky. So Rupp Arena, which is owned by the city of Lexington, it is not a University of Kentucky facility. The city of Lexington owns Rupp Arena. Is 23.5. So Thompson Bowling is 24.5. Well, the last 10, 15 rows of the upper deck are all bleachers. Right? They're just trying to get, right? There's no way in heck they're getting 24,500 people in there. Just not. Right? Not in today's world.
No,
it's not happening. And that's something as we move forward, the large stadium, the gigantic stadium you have to have, could be a relic. The gigantic arena you have could be a relic because of the way we consume media these days and the demand. What Penn State wrestling does is phenomenal.
Right.
Okay? There's 6,500 seats in Rec Hall for wrestling?
Yep.
Right. Reasonably priced because they just want to sell the place out. That should be the goal every single time. Every time that should be the goal. How can we sell the place out? Now, winning does that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, winning is let me tell you when you have a marketing problem. You're winning and there are empty seats. you have a marketing
it's
problem.
It's a big problem.
Okay?
Or a location problem, one of the two,
right.
Marketing and location.
Right. But winning is the greatest marketing tool there is. Mm-hmm. So we start with that. But then after that, the whole point is to get as many people in as possible and have the right kind of venue to do it. And the right kind of venue includes proximity to whatever the sport happens to be. Pagula is beautifully built.
Yep.
All right? That is the purest form of a collegiate hockey arena as you could ask for. 6,500 seats, exactly the right size, great sight lines, amenities, bathrooms, concession stands, everything. Parking is okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be worse, but it's okay.
I was going to say, it could be worse, could be a little better, but yeah, right. I think.
Not bad. Parking for Rec Hall, It's
gotten better over the years. It's gotten better.
But it's the right size for what they want to do. And we've gone over the Jordan Center thing 1,000 times. There's no need to go over the Jordan Center anymore. No. But I just did a game at Ohio State. It's way too big.
Yeah,
I mean, they used to play in St. John Arena, which was 13,000 seats. Oh, beautiful old arena to do a game in. People tight on top of the court. Love doing games there. In fact, Joe Crispin and I were talking about that arena the other day. But that's the way it used to be. I mean, the old field house at Wisconsin was 11,000, 12,000. Now they're in Cole. Now they do sell out Cole, but it's 17,500. Like, okay. Nebraska went to Pinnacle Bank 15. Carver Hawkeyes 15.5. Williams, they've renovated over and over again. That's 14. They don't get 14. Breslin's 14, almost 15. Chrysler Arena's 13. Right? They've renovated that. Illinois is 16. They're winning, so they do sell. The new arena at Northwestern is a phenomenal building. I think it's 6,000 to 7,000 seats. Perfect size for them. 2 decks, sight lines, tight. Beautifully done. Really well done. Maryland, when they first got into the league, the size of the Xfinity Center, which is 17,500. Well, they could accommodate 17.5. Jason, they're not getting that now. They are not getting that now. They're not even getting close to it. Rutgers, I want to say they've got the oldest building not Williams is the oldest building. But they may have, maybe the third oldest building, because Assembly Hall.
I was going to say, Assembly Hall's got to be in there somewhere.
Well, yeah, but this building is just about the same age as Assembly Hall, close. Maybe it's a couple years younger, and Assembly Hall in Champaign's older too. But it's 8,000 seats, and guess what? They're on top of you. You don't need to have 15,000 seats. Hey, you just need to have the seats that you have available filled. Right? You're getting money now from TV. You're getting money from your new media contract. You're going to be getting money from the college football playoff. You get money from the NCAA tournament distribution. Right? It's not like you don't have money coming in. You do. Everybody does. But Penn State, to its credit, this is where I give, you took 108,000 plus. This is where you give credit to credit's due to the, everything Penn State's done, no question. Because winning's a big part of it. Being an exciting product is part of it. And at the same time, you've got to be able to take your hat off to the fan base. Because the fan base they show up. And they show up in droves. They put all that extra effort in. That's why it's interesting. Somebody brought up, I did not answer the question. but I was up there when the question was asked. I think Pat Kraft was up at this particular point. So I just let him answer it because that's not my space to offer an opinion. But I brought it up before. And you need to be showing every replay you have in the arena.
Sure.
And I talked about this at Ohio State the other day. Ohio State, there'd be moments like, are they going to go to the monitor here? Dick and I are looking around like, okay, who knows what they're looking at? Because they're showing fans on the board when they're doing this. Like, what are you doing? Show the play.
Yeah.
I don't care about the little kid waving in the front row. It's adorable.
Yeah.
You want to do that during the timeout?
Dude, I was just going to say, do that during the timeouts. Absolutely.
That's great. Show them. That's great. But, like, this is about the game.
Mm-hmm.
The fans in the arena don't know what they're looking at because they're not told.
Yeah.
The fans are sort of told what happened as a result. The public address announcer at Ohio State is... I don't think at a deli I would have this guy announce the numbers. Now serving number 8, he's not good. I don't. You know me. I don't. I rarely say that. He's shaky.
Yeah.
All right. And so he'd explain something. Dick and I were like, "What the heck is he talking about?" We'd have to interpret ourselves what the heck he was talking about.
Yeah.
It's not the way it should be.
No.
Okay. Guess what? Mic it up. Tell the arena. Show it.
Yeah.
Okay. They're paying all the money. So now back to Beaver Stadium. All those fans. Right? It's not just the tickets they buy, and it's not just the Nittany Lion Club points and the points needed, whatever, to get parking and things like that, but it's just every single week the passion to get in the car and come here and to buy the gas. Oh, gas is down now. It's like, well, we're all supposed to be thrilled. It's $3.25. No offense, I'm not.
Right.
I remember it was $1.89. Right? It's like, but it was up near $4 for a period of time in the fall.
It was over $4. Yeah, it was over $4. Well, not in the fall, but it was over $4 at one point.
I mean, people are driving back and forth, spending more money than ever on gas. Make a trip to the grocery store. Everything's getting better. Did you buy groceries lately? Okay. Right. To stock up for the tailgate. Right. They make the trip in. They take the time. They put in the commitment. They set everything. You know, I've gone through the whole gambit about what a fan does here. And to have 108,000 decide per game that this is their entertainment option, what a compliment. What a compliment, because that's their hard-earned money. I mean, people have worked hard for that money, and that's how they choose to spend some of it. As for Michigan, okay. The Michigan situation is a strange one in so many ways as Harbaugh leaves to take the Chargers job. It is interesting how the Michigan fan base has completely tuned this thing out. All they care about is that they won. But is this what it takes to do it? I mean, that's my question.
Yeah.
Is that what it takes to do it? Where you're sitting there and people go, yeah, I don't care what it took. All I care is we won. Okay, really? And then the first opportunity somebody gets to get out of Dodge, they take it.
Sure.
They take it.
Yep.
Right? I mean, and he gets out. What are the consequences for him?
Yeah. Yeah, the argument's going to be, well, he was suspended 3 games last year. He was suspended the game. Could coach the entire week. You know, that's so the preparations are there. And that's why I felt like, number one, well, I go back to when His previous violation, when his self-imposed suspension was less than the initial suspension. It was ridiculous.
Well, that's over what he said, the cheeseburger thing. And again, what was the question I asked the day after? How many of the recruits on that team are guys that he talked to during the dead period? How many of those guys?
Yeah.
Which guys did they get that actually played a role in the game?
In the game, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, that's one.
Yeah.
Okay. The next part is, here's the forgotten part. Well, see, I mean, this is with Charlie Baker. Stop being a politician. There are moments where you need to keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Let your investigators do their thing. Okay. Sorry, bad leadership. Bad start with me.
Yep.
No. It's legit. Over here in the back, let them finish the investigation, because guess what? Okay. All these coaches across the country that played them had to change everything. And what did Michigan have to change? They were allowed to go about their business like they always do. No big deal. Got it. Right? And guess who Washington played in the third game of the season? At Michigan State.
Yep.
Who were they scouting? Okay? Michigan State was one of those they were scouting. So please, don't hand me mumbo jumbo. Can't stomach mumbo jumbo. And if you want to get up and you want to be the big shot, okay, guess what? When you hit a foul ball like that and he fouled it into the upper deck, you're going to get called out on it.
You're going to get called out on it, and you can't play victim. That's the other part of it. That's the part of it that I think I look back on this entire year, and I look at Penn State week. I look back at that Friday where Michigan essentially played victim, and that to me is ridiculous. And to sit there and have to
he'll get
listen
no consequences.
Of course, no, he'll get nothing.
Right? Again,
he'll get nothing.
Okay.
He gets out of Dodge.
Right,
and that's the worst part of it.
This is what bothers people.
Yeah,
right?
And
they are looked at one example after another in public life.
Yeah,
of people who do things, you sit back, oh my God, and then there are no consequences. And then you look around and go, okay, well, if that were me, they'd have put me in the who's go.
And 99.99% of the time, they're right.
Yeah.
And that's literally, that's the unfortunate part of all of this. And the other thing it did, whether directly or indirectly, first of all, I don't want to say it tarnished a great career at Ohio State, because Ohio State was not able to beat Michigan. Obviously, I think that a lot of those players at Ohio State, some of them came back, but I think it essentially what you're seeing now from Ohio State, I think you're seeing two different things. One, they're trying to alter their approach to NIL. I think Gene Smith sat back a year and thought, okay, here we go now. Yep. But the other part of it is, I think now there's a major effect because of Michigan. Because of what they did, Ohio State is altering a lot of what they're doing.
They are spending money
big time, $10 million.
Oh, it's higher than that.
Well, the $10 million on portal. Just the portal in the last 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and they're getting donations, obviously, from former players, which is great. But, that's, I think a lot of that effect is Michigan. It is college football and how it's changed, yes, but I think a lot of it is Michigan in these last 3 years, which should have been different. I'm not saying they would not have beaten Ohio State, but the track record prior to those 3 years tells me that probably was the case.
Right. First of all, what college sports is doing right now is not sustainable.
No, absolutely not.
And everybody knows that it's not. You would think that the people, and we got a lot of smart people. How about just like somebody that knows what they're doing? Like, just for that, just humor me. Okay, I don't need an intellectual in there. I just need somebody who knows what they're doing. All right? I don't need a politician in there. I need somebody who knows what they're doing to sit down and start figuring out how to make this right, where there's a competitive balance, where the student athletes are getting some money out of this, and you've got some sort of competitive balance that makes all this happen, right? Because that's going to make everybody thrive, including the players. They'll thrive. with a great product, right? That's on the field, that's competitive with big games and so forth. And because right now they're getting to a crossroads with all this. It can't keep going the way it is. It can't.
No, there's no stability, no sustainability either.
I mean, there's no sustainability, and there's no plan.
No.
What's the plan? There is no plan.
And the plan...
Now, I will say this, Charlie Baker, I criticized him already.
Yep.
Okay? Now I'm going to go the other way. At least he put something out there that is worthy of discussion and I respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
See, that, again, the ability to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
What he did on the Michigan thing,
very unfair.
You have to be kidding me. You actually made that statement? Do you know anything about competitive sports? Anything at all? Anything? Okay, after hearing that, I vote no. Right? But his proposal to try and move forward from this is worthy, absolutely worthy of discussion, and I think had some thought to it. That's how I look at it. And that's where we are. It's just one of those, you sit back and go, what? Does anybody have any idea? Crazy.
Yep. Yeah, and the other problem is, an organization will basically say, well, that's the school's job when they push down NIL. And that's, does the school have to play a role? Yes. Does it have to set the rules and limits and boundaries? No, it shouldn't have to.
No, it has to be done across the board.
It's got to be done across the board, exactly. And it's not being done across the board.
No. Because if, say one conference does it. Let's say a conference does it. You're going to put the conference at a disadvantage compared to everybody else who's still playing under the Wild West rules.
Yeah, agreed.
See, that's why you have to have everybody on board. Mm-hmm. And guess what? I do not need, with all due respect, I don't need the group of five involved in the conversations.
No.
Okay?
No.
Okay? At all. Sorry. I know you want to play the adorable game of, hey, this is great. We'll give the little guy a chance. Guess what? The little guy has no say in this. The little guy is not. Okay, you're not going above and beyond what we're talking about monetarily. I mean, Ohio State just spent on the transfer portal more money than I think almost everybody in the group of five probably spent combined. Unreal. That's, and I don't need them having a say in it. None. The only ones that should have a say in what the parameters happen to be should be the top schools, because the bottom schools, maybe that 18 schools that make 50%, they get 50% of the television ratings. 50% of the television ratings, viewership. 18 schools total. Okay. That bottom group of 71 schools, you're along for the ride.
Yep.
Right? And that's not meant to be disrespectful. You're along for the ride in all this. And you're not spending enough on name, image, and likeness, and there's not a collective big enough, right, that is anywhere in the realm of the 18 schools that are getting the highest TV ratings. Thus, just accept it. Just let them work out what they need, because you're not going to meet that standard anyway. You're still going to be below it even when they're done. Now, the idea of $30,000 putting into a trust fund, that's an excellent proposal to at least, to discuss.
Get the ball rolling at least.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, no question. It's an excellent proposal to at least use as a starting point. The problem you're always going to have is there's going to be some enterprising outfit out there that's going to get a lawyer, and they're going to want to challenge whatever they put out there. And at some point, there has to be somebody that steps up and says, "No, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Hey, people are look. Is there a salary cap in this station? No, but there's a budget.
There's a budget,
right? And they're not going to exceed the budget. I mean, it's like you and I get our salaries. I think of the budget, I think Jerry gets 53% or something like that.
83%? No.
Well, no, it's like they asked me one day between Jerry Valeri's salary. They said, what would you do with it? I said, would you like to draw a crowd? I said, sure. I said, we could put Jerry out there. I said, or we could bring the cash, put it in the parking lot, and burn it. I said, that would be more entertaining. But that's just my personal opinion. You may feel differently. So, yeah. But you've got to be able to get some control over it. You need to have control on player movement. Mm-hmm. Right? I think it's great that people can make moves these days. I have no problem with that, but there have to be tighter windows. Right? The calendar makes no sense for football. The calendar makes complete sense for basketball. Calendar works beautifully for basketball, but the calendar for football makes no sense. Like, there's so many things that they do make no sense. Season's over. Okay. Portal opens. Oh, jeez. I got to re-recruit my players. Oh, and by the way, as the portals open, I've got signing day. Oh, a week into the season ending, I now find out who my bowl opponent is. Okay. Next year, signing day is December 18th. When's the first day of the playoff?
That weekend.
December 20th.
Yeah.
And then 3 games on the 21st. This is what you're doing?
Mm-hmm.
This is how you're running your sport? It makes no sense what they do. And the coaches repeatedly have been warning and warning and warning, and nobody listens to them. Why? Because this is working so well? Mm-hmm. The issue is quite simply this. Yeah. You now have an organization that is a shell of itself, that has lost every time in court. My old line, they're 0 for life in court, mm-hmm. and they're afraid to do anything. You cannot operate anything from the fetal position. Look at your career.
That's right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I digress.
Right. And I still have, I've still beat the NCAA.
Oh. To be honest with you, I mean, a kid in a lemonade stand could beat the NCAA. Yikes. You can't put your lemonade stand up here. Kid takes him to court, wins. Yeah, it's great. I'm telling you, that's exactly what would happen.
Then gets the NIL deal.
Yeah, on top of it. It's great. And then she transfers her lemonade stand to another school. You know, so, goodness gracious. But you cannot lead when you're leading from the field position. You cannot lead because you fear going to court. You can't do that. And you feel like the impression I get is that they'd like to do something, but they feel like they can't because they're going to lose in court. Okay. I don't know. That's where we are. It's interesting because I was, just like I was doing some advanced work on Indiana basketball, and Khalil Ware, who's been out with a foot injury, he didn't play against Wisconsin. He might not play against Illinois either this weekend. We'll see. It's iffy. But he's a transfer from Oregon. Right?
Yeah.
And Indiana basketball does have NIL cash.
Oh, yeah. There's no doubt.
Right. Well, that's how they kept tracing Jackson Davis for a year, but trace Jackson Davis in the G League, right?
If he's not playing much for the Warriors.
I mean, the last pick in the draft.
Yep.
Yeah. His game doesn't translate.
No.
I mean, that's going to be Zach Edey's problem. Doesn't translate. But with NIL money, he stayed at Indiana. And same thing with, getting Ware from Oregon. Oregon is pretty good NIL, especially with Nike.
With Nike there,
like
absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
But he left Oregon after his freshman year and transfers in. And that's part of what's kept their program alive. I mean, Malik Renew, by the way, to his credit, that they recruited him. All right. But Ware is the key transfer that they got. Peyton Sparks, another transfer, has been like, he's been all right. Mm-hmm. Xavier Johnson, he's been all right. So that they don't all work. But that's what people are doing these days. I mean, they're getting transfers, using NIL money to do that to keep the program alive. And as somebody said to me, and this was their quote, not mine, but this guy said to me, I'm not going to say who it was and what network he worked with. But he said, I'm thinking of getting out. It just feels so dirty. Like, okay. No, I don't feel that way. But do I think there needs to be structure? Mm-hmm. Okay? Every sport thrives because they have structure. Every sport thrives right now because they have structure. It's competitive structure, but people across the board, including the players themselves, are making money. The players on the collegiate level can make some money. Right? They can. Right? And they can do it within the confines of structure. You just need to have people come together and understand and figure out what that structure happens to be. Now, Charlie Baker, the president of the NCAA, at least put something out there that was absolutely worthy of discussion and looked to me like it was well thought out. I give him credit. At least it's a starting point.
Yeah, I agree.
At least it's a starting point. Vic Fangio, one of the real pros, as a defensive coordinator, is going to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think it's an interesting move. Obviously, what he did in San Francisco was exceptional there. And you look at what he did this year in Miami, I think it's hard to get a read on what he did. Yes, he gave up big plays, but the other part of it was you're missing your two biggest pass rushers. So I don't know how to fully get a read. I know the Eagles are a mess right now, and they need him.
Oh. You're just... Oh. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm as bitter as Philadelphia fans right now watching that team the last month and a half of the season.
No. Well, here's one for you. Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
Supposedly they're talking to him about being offensive coordinator. There are certain people, and I don't know him at all.
Yeah.
But there are certain people that I observe from the 15 to 30,000 foot level.
Uh-huh.
Where I just sit there as they get job after job.
Yeah, and wonder why.
And I say to myself, I don't get it.
He's on that list. To me right now, if you're Philadelphia, I think it's a no-brainer. I think you get back on the phone with Frank Reich and say, hey, you interested? And if that answer is no, you move on. But I think the biggest success that they had was under him, and you lost him. That was a massive loss.
Well, he lost him to be a head coach.
Yeah, be a head coach, no doubt. You lose another guy to the Colts, and it's the same thing. It's but I think now you get him back. If it's your chance. I think to me, you get on the phone and say, hey, you interested in coming back to be our offensive coordinator? I don't think there's any question.
I mean, the Kingsbury thing baffles me. Yes, he was Patrick Mahomes' college coach.
Right.
Okay. But I don't get it. Every time I turn around, somebody else wants to hire him. Why? What's the track record? What's so innovative about what he does? I vote nothing.
No.
I don't see it. I'm missing something. And please somebody tell me what I'm missing. It's just, wow. There are just certain people in that category that just keep getting jobs. And you know people that you've been around like, how the heck did he or she get that job? Like, I worked on them. I don't see it. Maybe he interviews right. I have no idea.
That and I think the Mahomes factor. I think you just said it. The Mahomes factor, I think, is a big part of it. That's got to be. I don't see it one bit. If Cliff Kingsbury leaves the Cardinals, they're a better team. It was clear as day.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and that's why. And the talent didn't get better. Talent got worse. So I really don't know how you look at him and say, yeah, this guy, this is the hot hire. I don't know. I'm with you. I don't see it at all. And I think part of it is the point you just made. I think it's the Mahomes effect. Has to be.
Yeah, but that's a long time ago.
I know. Or the Kyler Murray effect. I have no idea.
I can't tell you in a million years why. And yet, every time you turn around, like, yeah, he can be the USC offensive coordinator. He can do this. I'm like, oh, what the heck? Really? Okay. None of my business. You know, I always have an old saying, make your own mistakes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw that and went, really? Okay. Right.
Yeah, and especially the guys that are out there. I still think there are guys out there as coordinators. Well, another one I think is on the overrated side. He did a great job in New England, but I think Josh McDaniel brings a lot of baggage. But aside from that, I think
he's a guy I don't get.
I don't either. I don't. And again,
I'm not saying they're bad people, bad coaches, the whole thing. But I'm talking in terms of a high profile.
We talked about the Mahomes effect. What's McDaniels? The Brady effect. These guys, they see the superstar there and thought, okay, man, this guy can coach. I don't see it. He also tried 2 head coaching jobs and got run out of town pretty quick.
I mean, look at Bill Walsh.
Coaching tree, I know. That coaching tree fell down quick.
These are your people, right? Look, no Montana, no Steve Young, nothing.
Oh, man.
He even tried to replace Joe Montana.
I know.
Benched him. Your guy.
He did say to draft Rick Meyer in round 1 that he was going to be the next Joe Montana. He missed a little bit there.
This is your guy.
Did draft Carmazzi over Tom Brady. He did miss there.
Your guy.
But I think he hit a few more home runs than he did singles.
Your guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Master. There's no doubt.
Unbelievable. Your people.
But even Bill Walsh, even he, you go back to 1988, 89, when he wouldn't name a starting quarterback.
That's my point.
Yeah, you go back to that part where you're looking like, it's clear as day in front of you. You have the guy that when he's healthy is what at that time was the best in the league. Yeah, Montana was clear as day the best in the league, and he didn't name the starter. I didn't understand.
That is your guy.
That is our guy.
Right.
That's my guy.
Lombardi always went back to Bart Starr.
Yeah, sure did.
Just so you know.
I will say in '92, if ownership had a say, Joe Montana would have been the starter.
I mean,
no question.
I
have that on good authority. There's no doubt Joe Montana would have been the starter if Mr. DeBartolo had a say. George Seifert was the ultimate one that had to say that got him out of Dodge, but
you make Bill Walsh out to be Lombardi. He's no Lombardi. Okay, come on. Not even Curly Lambeau.
Not Newt Rockne.
Well, first step to recovery for you is starting to admit it. That's a good one. That's Rockne. I remember the first time Penn State went out to play Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, at this point up to 1982, had this record against teams going into South Bend the first time. Was phenomenal. I think they had lost twice in that stadium to teams that win in the stadium for the first time. So Penn State never played there. Penn State's got a pretty darn good team in 82. They won the national championship. Joe gets up and is talking to his team. He says, you ever heard about their record coming in here? He says, let me tell you something. He says, Rockne's not popping out of the ground tomorrow, and neither of the four horsemen. I said, you're playing this Notre Dame team, and you're better than they are. So he told him.
That's good.
Rockne's not going to pop out of the ground, and neither of the four horsemen. I said, you're playing this year's Notre Dame team, and you're better than they are. And they were.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now that guy could coach.
Yeah, sure could.
Walsh? Yeah. Blockbuster Bowl side. Your guy.
He was, Blockbuster
Bowl. Who's your favorite coach of the 49ers? Is it?
Oh, it's Walsh. Yeah, it's no doubt.
Walsh.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Who's second? Seifert or Harbaugh?
I'll tell you. It's neither at this point. I'd say.
Seifert won a Super Bowl.
Seifert won a Super Bowl, but Seifert also won a Super Bowl with a salary cap that was unlimited.
Yes.
Seifert made a lot of decisions that were very, very questionable.
No respect.
Yeah, I'm not sure he should have been fired. I think that was a little bit of a stretch, but I think, in terms of his coaching ability, defensive-minded, I think was without a doubt very good.
But who's your second favorite coach?
Probably Kyle Shanahan. The 49ers had us.
Jeez, I hope they're not down by more than 5 points going into the fourth quarter.
The problem is they haven't had, they've had a rich history. You take Walsh aside. Yes, Seifert won a Super Bowl. Again, I've won 2 Super Bowls. One with Walsh's team, one with an unlimited salary cap, where they spent through the roof. And you look, to me, Mariucci, I think his decision-making was questionable. I think he was bad. I don't think he was as bad as Terrell Owens made him out to be, but his decision-making was questionable. Certainly not Dennis Erickson. Certainly not Jim Tomsula.
Oh, you're just the worst.
Certainly not Chip Kelly. My opinion of Chip Kelly is about the same as a lot of the folks in Philly's opinion of him is. And that leaves Harbaugh, who, look, he wins games. I get it, but how he wins games is very questionable.
Look, the bottom line is I watch your 49er coaches go out before the game, and they have these little friendly chats with the officials, and at the end there's this little quick little slide of something.
Sort of like
is that cash? Keep it fair? What's going on?
That or
you get all the calls.
Either that or it's moving the chains when Jordan Love.
You get all the calls.
Or it's moving the chains when Jordan Love does the quarterback keeper. One of the two.
No. Okay.
That was a first down. Sorry, folks. That was a first down. And I'm a Niners fan.
It's unbelievable. Well, again, in fixing basketball, okay, you read Tim's book. How did he fix the games in the NBA?
Yeah.
It was the calls he made in the first
half. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, and you are one of the people he's talking to. You take the bait. You don't think your way through it.
There you go.
That was only the first half they moved. It's only the first half. That's why. That's how you do it.
You file it down.
You don't save it for the last 5 minutes where now there's more scrutiny. Okay?
Good point.
I mean, I can't believe I have to explain this to you. You've chewed your way through your entire career. All right. Just kidding.
I'm the reason they put academic integrity syllabuses
No, you're
out.
the reason they created a barber. Now go use one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.